Hey, it's Jeff Cannata with another NLB mini coming at you with a review of the new Luc Besson, Scarlet Johansson film, Lucy. And the question you got to be asking yourself is, did I love Lucy? The answer, unfortunately, is no, I did not. I loved the first 20 minutes of Lucy. Man, this movie starts with one of the most taut, exciting, really cool, avant-garde kind of premises. I was digging this movie for the first 20 minutes. I thought, oh my gosh, I think this is going to be an awesome return to form for Luc Besson. You start out with this kind of hapless, lower-class girl played by Scarlett Johansson getting in way over her head in a situation that we can feel is not good, and it ramps up to very, very bad very, very fast. Getting involved in a deal between some gangsters. I love how we're thrust into the scene right away, how quick we're there, how quickly it gets bad, how it gets out of her control really fast, how the danger always looms, and this really cool, as I said, avant-garde way of conveying it, where at certain points we're intercut with almost stock footage of wildlife, of situations that comment on what we're seeing. So as the main character talks to her boyfriend about what she needs to do to complete this deal, we then cut briefly to see a mouse walking up to a mouse trap. And it's on the nose. Yeah, it's on the nose saying, yeah, she's walking into a trap. But I'd never seen a movie do that before. And they do it a lot. And then as she sort of walks into the situation and gets closer, you see a gazelle on the plains in Africa being stalked by a cheetah, which I thought was just so interesting. And also they put Scarlett Johansson's character in a cheetah print shirt, so I was thinking to myself, well, is she going to be the cheetah? Is she supposed to be the cheetah? Are we going to realize that this was all a rope-a-dope and she's the one in control? It was a very taut, very interesting, edge-of-my-seat kind of way to get into this movie. Unfortunately, then it sort of all just devolves into kind of this weird, silly meditation on I don't know what, to be honest with you. It devolves pretty quick. And it's a shame because it's a really interesting premise. It's a premise that's completely divorced from any kind of scientific reality. But the idea here is that our main character ingests a substance that slowly starts unlocking the potential of her brain. So we, as human beings, supposedly only use 10% of our brains, and as she progresses toward using 100% of her brain, she evolves very rapidly toward a sort of godhood. It's basically watching Scarlett Johansson become a god, which, in a lot of ways, we've already seen in Her, far superior film in every way to this, but it's interesting that people keep wanting to elevate Scarlett Johansson into godlike, omnipotent status. But unfortunately, the farther we get into this movie, the more ridiculous it is, and the less interesting I found interested I found myself being in what happens. It's this science fiction, I guess, meditation on what it is to be human that's trapped inside a Luc Besson action film. Because there's really no reason why this should be an action film at all, other than the fact that, this guy sort of makes these kinds of movies. She's in this gangster story, but other than that first 20 minutes where we realize how she starts ingesting this substance and why she starts evolving, after that, there's really no reason for her to be in this gangster story. She's really transcended it in many ways, physically, emotionally, mentally. It's just not particularly believable that any of these people are any threat to her at any point after this because she's so powerful. I mean, it's kind of like watching Scarlett Johansson have all the powers of all the X-Men at once, fighting against, Joe Thug and his team of henchmen. It's not particularly, there's no stakes. She's omnipotent. But yet we still are shackled to this kind of conventional action movie where there's car chases. And yeah, now Scarlett Johansson can drive a car really, really fast. But why? Who cares? It's much more interesting, I think, to maybe talk about the ramifications of this and what it would mean for the scientific community, which is given lip service in the form of Morgan Freeman, who plays his recurring role in Hollywood as Mr. Exposition. But, no one better at it than Morgan Freeman. If you want to have somebody stand at a podium, literally stand at a podium and lecture the audience on exposition, get Morgan Freeman to do it. He's good at it, and it makes it very palatable. But it still doesn't hide the fact that that's what we're doing. But yeah, I think the movie would be much better served if we kind of dealt with the ramifications of what this might mean for humanity, and it's only really just touched upon lightly and vaguely is really the more important part. There's no real ramifications. It's just sort of like, hey, we unlocked all the power of brain, so that means something. And all the powers that she get don't really follow. We really need Morgan Freeman to say, hey, she's going to get these really great powers. Why? No reason. It's because your brain is in there. I didn't hate this movie. I enjoyed some of it. As I said, that first 20 minutes is really, really taut and thrilling and fantastic. I just wish the rest of the movie lived up to that. I wish the rest of the movie understood that we no longer needed it to be that. Like, that is an awesome setup. Now go someplace else and let her be doing other more interesting things than just sort of fighting gangsters. But it doesn't. And Scarlett Johansson is interesting in this movie. She kind of turns into an automaton, this like elevated, emotionless, which I guess when your brain opens up, you lose primal need for emotion and compassion and human interaction. And she does a serviceable job in doing all that. She's working real hard and doing stuff. And there's enough stuff here to recommend maybe watching it as a rental or something. Or if you really want to go out to the movies, some fun stuff. It's not a home run. It's a very short film, and overall, I wasn't too impressed. But it certainly isn't terrible. So it has that going for it. Thank you for watching this channel. Please subscribe and like. We'll have much more coming at you very soon, including Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm very excited to review. So until then, I'll talk to you soon.